Greetings and welcome. Appreciate you guys tuning in for RPMMO Radio. I will be one of your hosts, Ash and Phoenix, and of course with me is the two ladies, Jazz and Sib. How's it going, gals?
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah.
Doing well.
Doing well. Well, this will be our 15th episode, a venting RP. So we're going to be going over all the ins and outs of kind of doing part of roleplay events. We're dealing with the most basic, which will be taverns. Going over this, we have learned that there are probably going to be several episodes on doing events because there is just way more than I had initially thought, at least at the first time. So it's going to be fun. We're actually going to skip a few things, but first off, we're going to do our basic introductions, which we already did. Go ahead, if you're a first-time listener, appreciate you if you slap the subscribe button on Twitch over at twitch.tv/RPMMO If you're listening to us live, we would appreciate that if you like what you hear. And if you don't, probably don't do that because you probably wouldn't want to return because that wouldn't make sense. I mean, you can still slap it and then just not return. We'd appreciate that too, but that would be weird. I don't know why you would do that. And if you're listening to us on the podcast, you know, we have it over on iTunes or whatever the heck Apple calls it now. You can leave us some feedback. I honestly don't. It's like, it seems like every time I turn around, they're calling it something else. And it's probably just the same thing. It just sounds different every time. But leave us a review there. The more we get, any feedback we get, even if you just leave stars, if you like us, if you hate us, it shows up on the feed a little bit better. Actually, we've had a few people contact us saying that, hey, you showed up on my podcast feed. I gave you a try. So I was like, cool. Well, apparently that works. So before we get into the fun stuff, and Jazz, do you want to take this at all? You actually knew her a little better than I did.
Oh,
about Gina?
Oh, yes. My
Yeah.
longtime friend and also role player, Regina Rockman, who is also known as Ravensstar and Rain Jax. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Wow. Passed away from a long-term illness. And it's been very, very long week, I think, for all of us who knew it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she was only 47 too. August 16th is when she passed.
She
And,
had a genetic disorder that destroys the liver. And nowadays they test at birth if you're born jaundiced, but they never did that back then. So by the time she found out, it was too late.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she's I actually have it here because I always think it's important. You know, we knew her. We've actually lost a few role players over the years. The other one was Wrong Way, was another big one from our guilds as well. He was a bird.
Yeah, sorry about
Fly by.
that.
It's all right. He was actually a Russian defector that came over here to the States. They're in the real ugly parts of the government of Russia wanted him dead, basically. But him and his daughter, we got to know him. He was a really good guy. Gina was a really, really friendly lady. She's survived by her wife, Buffy Radcliffe, from Cedar Rapids, and her mother, Andrea, and her sister, Denise, both from Colorado Springs. And, of course, all of us and all her friends from both the real world and online, which she had many, especially going over her Facebook. So, you know, we're gonna miss her. She was a really sweet lady, and I'm glad to have gotten to know her, even if it was virtually.
Yes, and we're going to have a memorial on Monday night, hopefully.
Is it Monday? Okay.
Yeah, at EQ, at the Silver Circle Guild Hall. I'll open it up again.
Yeah.
And I built a memorial in our grave garden, I suppose you could call it.
Yeah,
Where
we have
other
one for
players,
Wrong Way that's been there for...
We have one for Wrong Way and several other people that
Yeah,
have
I don't
passed
even
that
know
we
how
knew.
long.
That was a long time ago. That was
Yeah.
10 years ago, just about.
But, yeah.
So we'll have a memorial there, and anyone who is in the game can drop by. I'll be there probably from about 7 o'clock on my time. So
Central
time, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yep. But so we wanted to get that. It's kind of a bummer, but you know, and she deserves recognition. She was a lot of fun. She gave everyone that she role played with enjoyment. So she'll be missed, and that's pretty much all we can say about that, without just continuing to repeat ourselves endlessly. So moving on to happier things, we actually got new artwork for each one of us from an old friend of ours, Yunfei, who was in character in EQ2 Xannis's adopted daughter. She was a little Fae, or Mel is actually her real name. And she did fucking awesome. If you go to www.rpmmoradio.com, you can actually go to the host section and see each one of them. She just did an amazing job. We wanted it kind of she got 3 different microphones. All our characters, except for mine, Xannis, which would be Ashen Phoenix, is not, because she didn't want to hide his glorious elven ears. He's a dark elf. So, but Sib, are you there or not? I can't hear you, babe. Are you muted again?
No, she's not muted.
Did you mess with your levels again? Speak closer to your mic, baby.
Oh, my mic was turned off.
There we
sorry.
go. Hers has a button.
I have had technical difficulties since I sat down at my chair.
Yeah, first she couldn't hear us, then she turns off her mic. I'm thinking she just doesn't want to be here.
Well, it was so bad when I first was able to hear everybody. It about deafened everyone.
Yeah, it's all right. But she really liked hers. It was her inner nerd, as she called it. So, but yeah,
yes, it was wonderful. I loved the picture.
Yeah, she does fantastic work. Yunfei's she's done a couple pieces of art from back when her and I role played of our characters interacting, which is some of my favorite. There's definitely nothing makes you feel more special than when somebody actually uses their amazing talent to recreate your characters on, drawings. Of course, we commissioned her for this because I told her at the time her work is worth the money. And,
oh, yes.
She's like a lot of people, she's a little shy and she gets nervous doing things for other people, but she has said she does about $25 to start and about $5 per hour after that. Each one of these were about 6 hours worth of work for her, so about $65 and the quality on the website is definitely shrunk down, but they're 14 by 1400, so they're good size and just clear as a bell. I sent them all to Jazz, and I'm sure she can go attest, and so can Sib, but they look amazing full screen.
Yes, they do.
So she doesn't have any websites or anything, but if you want us to put you in contact with her, just send a shout out to rpmmoradio@gmail.com, and we can give you her information. And she would be happy to talk to you and see what you want. So that's our plug for Yunfei. And so now we go into what have we been doing in roleplay in the games. Anybody?
I'll go first if you want me to. It's short and sweet.
Get to the point.
I've just had a few nights of just random RP, hung out at the tavern a couple times and just met people, and some of them were fun, some of them were
questionable.
Yeah. Well, they're always looking for something my characters are not willing to do, so it's like, and I just tell them up front, hey, I usually tell them that my characters are celibate.
That works.
They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, but no, that's about all I've been doing.
Yeah. What about you, Jess?
I have continued to work on trying to get the achievements on my knee. And she's going to get all 3 zones. All 3, not zones.
Factions
done. And she'll eventually get everything. So I get all the pretty colors.
The colors.
Which is really the only reason
Glamour
why I'm
is
doing
the end
them.
game.
Yes, it is. I also reworked my Nightblade so she does about double the amount of damage she was doing before, which makes me very happy.
Yeah.
I also worked on RP a little bit. but mostly I was pretty bummed all week because of my
Yeah.
friend.
Well, yeah.
And I usually don't RP when I'm down because I tend to take things too personally. So
Yeah, your nerves are raw, and that's
Right.
that's one
And
of those
drama
things we
tends
say
to-
is
yeah. Because
exacerbate
if
it.
I run into drama, I'm more likely to silly say, "You suck, get away from me." Whereas normally I just ignore them. So
Yeah.
it's better if I stay scarce. I also worked some with some other guild members on some of the new content that just came out for ESO. So it was a busy week. I stayed busy so that I didn't do too much, probably.
Yeah. That's understandable. And let's see, and for me, my Ordinator Tarvala, she made full Ordinator. She's now an Ordinator of War. And
Congrats.
so that was after that long. We did the continuation of that thing where I said last time how they had found a Dark Elf and a Khajiit making whoopee under a bridge. So they got to fight off that whole army of Khajiit slaves, and 200 of which were Dominion soldiers, and we only lost one guy, so either we had good strategy or the roll gods were with us. I like to think that it was both, because we're just that great. I mean, Dark Elves are obviously the best elves.
Exactly.
But it was a lot of fun. We had a good time. Have had a few roleplay interactions on a personal note with the character, because when you're constantly doing, we do a lot of events in that guild, and since it's military, there's not always a lot of time to get to know each other one-on-one, because we've only got so much time. And unlike a real military where it's a lot of downtime or moving around and very short bursts of combat, it's we don't have that in roleplay. So it was fun. It's always a good thing. And we're also, I think that's all I had for roleplay. Because we actually have so much to get through, seriously, our notes for this episode are double the length of the usual stuff, because there's just so much when it comes to events. We're not going to bother with the new stuff, because there was nothing interesting, for one, that we really saw that
no
was totally newsworthy.
Quiet news week.
Yeah. And so we're going to go ahead and do our word from our sponsor, and then we're going to get into this this mess known as event roleplay. So, all right, let's see what we got. Events. They're imposing, time-consuming, and nerve-wracking. Everyone wants to do an event, but not everyone knows how. That's why we're here at RPMMO Radio to help. Our specialists have thousands of in-game years worth of experience, and they're here for you. Let's check in with one of them now. Oh, look, here's Sib. Sib has been here. She talks very happily. Sib has been with us for some time now. She enjoys singing, dancing, and being nice to other people, I guess. So, hello there, Sib. Tell us a little bit about what you've been working on today.
Hi, Ashen.
Hi.
Well, I've just finished helping a client with basics of singing and dancing on stage through type. Always prepare in advance. You don't want to get up there and try to type it out. It will take forever, and you might lose an audience member or two. Be descriptive. The more descriptive, the better the people can imagine. And try to keep the time in mind. 10 minutes is a good time, or you might lose some more audience members, which if you keep losing them, you're not going to have any more. And that sorry. And that performing doesn't mean your character is a whore for hire. Just remember that.
That's right,
No
Sib.
means no.
Yes, it does. You tell them. Keep those furries at bay. Ha, ha, ha. No, really, keep them at bay. Now here we have Jazz. Jazz is our expert in running guilds and trying to keep fires of stupidity a dull burn instead of a raging inferno. What are you doing today, Jazz?
Well, I'll tell you, it's been quite a mess. A multi-guild RP that was planned ended rather suddenly when an OOC disagreement broke out. Thankfully, we were able to realize where the breakdown in communication came about and resolve the problem. Turns out, even if you're invisible, you can't cross a line of people without being red rovered. There's always someone that tries to cheat, but all is well now.
Fantastic. It's a widely made-up statistic fact that 90% of all OC conflicts come from poor communication. Good work, Jazz. We're not going to pay you anymore because, of course, you're a woman. That's just how we roll here. Oh, and look, here comes Bargnar. He's the head of our combat division. Tell me, Bargnar, what are you working on? Fick off, you white billy, pasty-faced, milk-drinking, worm-vomiting sop. Talk to me like we know each other again. And I'll kick you in the arse so hard it'll pop off your head, and I'll use your ass neck as the world's ugliest, smelliest planter. Fucking pansy. God, I hate that fucking guy. Anyway, for your next event planning, look no further than RP MMO Radio. We're here to serve you. I really fucking hate dwarves. So now you know why our acting careers never quite took off.
Nope.
Call me Jennifer Lawrence.
Let's not.
You guys could have Chris Pratt now. I've heard he's available.
Oh.
Ooh.
Burn! I know. I have my hopes up. I'm really hoping.
Yeah.
I
Ashton
sent a
turned
letter
to me
for
the other
him.
day and goes, I might have a chance.
Damn right. Hey, I'm not
Okay,
gay,
if
but
he's
I'm
on your
willing to
list.
learn. Hey, he's a good-looking, funny man. I don't care.
I don't think you guys would be able to. Look, you killed Jazz. Way to go. Way to go.
Apparently, I swallowed spit when it was loud. Oh, shit.
Nice.
Just about
Nice.
kill myself.
You okay, Jazz?
Hey.
I'm okay now. There we go.
Okay.
Hey there, Kishmas. Welcome. Appreciate you tuning in, bud. If it is
Hello.
the one that I'm thinking of, that would be Roger. So, on to how to actually do events. There's a lot of them, for one. So we're going to hit up one, but there's everything from taverns to tournaments or combat dueling, which kind of go in the same thing. Stories in the D&D style of storytelling. Gatherings and parties, balls, dances, costume contests, fair, multi-guild gatherings, and on and on. I told you there's a lot. Now, honestly, I thought of like 1,000 more, but it's just I got tired of typing because I'm lazy. If there's basically anything characters can do together, just like in real life, it can be planned as an event. They bring guilds and communities together, they advance stories and character development, and if done correctly, are very fun. And honestly, even if there's a hiccup or two, they're still pretty fun. And anybody that, even if it fails, I mean, at least they tried. You know, you got to give somebody credit. You know, a lot of the people that kind of may bitch and moan about an event, a lot of times they've never even tried one. It can actually be fairly stressful and taxing at times. You know, I think the three of us have all either participated in ran them. As I said earlier, we have thousands of in-game years. So that's only because time moves like 50 times faster. But so we'll start with the easy and basic, and that's first on, even before you do them, if you're just looking for an event to participate in. Most RP communities, like we've said in other episodes, they almost always have in a game at least one unofficial, I guess you could say, roleplay forum. Some sites and some games actually give you official roleplay forums and then take them away and then give them to you and then take them away because they don't know what the hell they're doing.
That's very true.
That
Happens.
is very true.
Was it EverQuest 2 that did that? They're like, here's roleplay forums, and like, yoink! So, but most of them have at least one, and a lot of them have several even, you know, because there's community splits or people don't see eye to eye on things, but honestly, the majority of people, they gravitate towards the biggest one with the most people. So, and these days, the way things are, most of them have a calendar or a list of people and events that are planned weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or like one-shot things, like a special ball for, like we did once for Valentine's Day or Halloween comes up, you put it on there and people show up. That's typically the best place to do that. The other one, of course, is your guild forums, or even sometimes the guild MOTD, which is, I say that all the time and I forget what it means.
Message of the day.
Message of the day. I always wanted to say month of the day, and it's like, that doesn't, the hell sense does that make?
Well, it's message of the day.
By the way, it was 98 degrees here with a heat index of 107, so I'm baked, and not in the way that Colorado would like to be.
And often is.
And always is, yeah. Let's see. So, like I said, often specific guild functions. I know when we have a guild function in Servants or in our guild, we typically put it on that calendar. It's certain T night, like was it T who was with us 2 weeks ago, the Khajiit from ESO that I've known for a while. She runs a Telvanni tea house. It's a weekly event. It's in all the guilds that she's kind of in. I know they've all seemed to have it in game on their calendar and on the website as a weekly event, and it's also on the ESO RP website as well.
There's an in-game calendar?
Huh? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they actually have a good I actually saw some orc gathering that happens every Wednesday night that I was telling Sib about.
Yeah, I need to go check that out.
Yeah, they do something. But yeah, they actually, if you go to that ESO RP thing, there's a event calendar, and it's got several things every single day. Well worth looking at. See, Jazz is taking our own advice. She's probably like typing right now.
I am.
Yeah. We used to, and also like things like in EQ2 we had the Fugue, which was that Malgoth that ran that?
Yeah.
Okay. There were two Malgroths I knew. They both spelt their name differently. One was a giant friggin' ogre, and the other one was a dark elf. So, and the Maiden's Fancy. Was it Malgrim? Okay.
Malgrim. That's
Grim.
where you're getting just your
Yeah.
kids.
Okay.
I did the thing because there's Malagoth, and then there was
Yeah.
Malgrim.
There's too many Mals out there.
Yeah.
There's only one true Mal, and that's in Firefly on Serenity. So, the rest of you, please stand up. Please stand up. Well, that's Slim Shade. And then, of course, there was the Maiden Fancy, which was also EQ2. And the last best way, of course, to hear about them, which is how a lot of times I hear about it, is word of mouth, or type, as it were, in like your guild chat. Which is often just people repeating what they, being good people, saw on a calendar.
Mm-hmm.
So that's typically the best way to find them. I know there's nothing really fun or pithy that we can comment on about that. That's just pretty much how it is. That's typically the best way. I guess, and if you happen to see it in Zone Chat, which is a way to advertise for that, but given how many role players turn off Zone Chat, it's hit and miss.
Yeah, I want to have it on, but most of the time, yeah, it's so not.
Yeah, I might have it on while I'm out questing, but even then, if it starts getting crazy or somebody brings up Trump or Obama or anything real world related,
anything, yeah, I
shut it off. Yeah, because I'm in a fantasy world to not listen to anybody's views about
That's one
anything.
thing about Elder Scrolls is the fact that different zones have different world or zone.
Zone chat is literally zone chat, not world or world
which
chat.
I kind of like because
Yeah, it's nice when
zone to zone. It's different.
You zone out, and all of a sudden the idiot conversation just comes to a complete halt, and it's just so and so looking for group. Yeah. So, all right. That's the best way to find how to do the things and find the things that we're about to tell you how to do. So, sorry. Now, how do you run one of these things? And like I said, we're gonna do this one as like a tavern thing because it's the most basic and it's the one that you typically will see the most. It takes, I don't want to say it's the easiest, but it's the one that takes the least amount of effort week to week once you have it set up. It's the setup on taverns that really takes a long time. Like a tournament thing, they take a lot of continual setup while you're doing it, but like unless you actually build the tournament area, like Final Fantasy 14, they did theirs out in the open in a zone, so there was nothing there except for the actual keeping the well, what are those damn things called when you're in a tournament? I can't believe I just forgot the and I'm asking two people that have absolutely no idea, aren't I?
No.
Yeah.
What happened to
Bracket.
the
A bracket. Brackets. God. Thanks, Baseball Mom, for pulling that one
That's
out.
the thing. Those are the go-around words, though. What is a bracket? I'm pulling your chain.
You're
I know
just
what
the
you're
worst. You're just the absolute worst. I knew you were pulling my chain. I've known you too long not to know that, jackass.
Takes one to know one.
Yeah, well, you learn from the best. When you get to my age, Jazz, you'll understand.
I think I'm older than you.
Mm-hmm. It's not the years, it's the mileage, kid.
Oh.
And I've had a lot more sarcastic miles than you have. But anyway, I win that conversation by moving on. So we'll be doing taverns. So when you want to do, it's easy to come up with like, hey, I want to do a tavern, like a monthly, bi-weekly, weekly thing. It's easy, you just say it and show up. Not really.
You can, but you might not be a successful one.
Right. Like, I know, using T as an example, she actually now has started using our real-world locations because of character limits on the housing.
Yeah.
And so, in her case, it actually is... A lot of this still applies, she just skips the step where you build it. So, when it comes to Tavern RP events... it seems easy, you do the location, you designate time, people show up, you pretend to drink, the end. It's thanks for tuning in, that's the end of the show. No, not really. Not every Tavern RP starts out before you, or not really. The Tavern RP starts out even before you build your location, depends on the game, given if it has housing. If it does have housing, what kind of tavern do you want? Do you want a bar? If it's a bar, what kind of bar? Do you have like a high-end joint, like something in Vegas, or do you have one that's like a dive bar where fights break out? If it's classy and all the furniture is super expensive, or if it's all busted-ass chairs and there's a rat in the corner.
That is, when you can make your own, I think that is hugely important, because like there were a couple of times I'd go to these places and they were ramshackle, built whatever, but they still expected to have you act like it was a really fancy place.
Right, and that's just poor planning.
Right, it's just poor planning, because people are going to come in, they're going to assume that it's one thing when it's another. So it's important to make it match kind of what you want.
What was the one that the cartel, the Rusty Nail, a guild we were in, Spectre Cartel,
Rusty Nail.
had a place called the Rusty Nail. It was exactly what you thought. It had a nice stage and stuff like that, but it was made out of rough wood. It was all, barbarian type stuff, because that's who ran it, was a barbarian. So it was, it looked like a dive bar. It was well worn. It had, the tables weren't all lined up perfectly. The wood was nasty. There were beer jugs, laying around or tipped over on tables, but most
of the characters felt like little people when they come in and sit down, because it was built for barbarians.
Yeah, everything was built for somebody 6 foot to 6 or 7 foot. So you know, but they had put all that planning into that. Sorry, I keep trying to silently hiccup into the microphone without like so.
It's okay, you can burp.
Yeah. Well, it's a hiccup, not a burp. So, but and then there's other ones where they would do it, like Jazz said, where it would look like that, but it was supposed to be classy and high end. And then there were the classy high end ones that look classy and high end, like Maiden's Fancy. I would put in that category. They didn't allow
expected to behave a certain.
You don't fight. If you do fight, you take it outside. That was it. And
they had placed weapon racks by the door, so your character was not supposed to come in with a weapon on.
Yeah, you weren't supposed to have it. And if you got caught with one, you get ejected, and you could actually, at least in that game, you could be banned from people's locations. So that's there was also same guild actually had another one. I forget what it was called, but it was a Western style saloon that even had like a mechanical bull that they used to slash roll system.
Oh, that was the Tombstone.
Tombstone, yeah. They had it called Tombstone, which maybe a little, a little RP, breaking wise, and the way it was named, but it was fucking cool. It was just so fun. Cool. But they had the books there that you could do, slash roll through 100, and each 10 of them would tell you how well you did, and then you would just role play it out, and it was just a fun thing. But you can do things like that as well. But you need to, just like almost like opening a real business, you need to have a concept in mind, especially if you're going to build this place on your own from the ground up. And even if you're not, if you're going to run it out of a in-game building, so that you know what kind of building you want to do it out of, so that you're not doing something that you want that's supposed to be crappy out of the nicest place ever, or something that's nice out of, some dive in some basement building in the middle of nowhere. Okay, so once you have that you want a tavern, you know what kind it is, you also have to decide, do you want entertainment there? A lot of places you could just do it as, people. I personally prefer we've built this place, you come, you order drinks, you order food, you guys get together and you chat about whatever. There's no reason to, or anything going on. But some people do like entertainment. People like Sib, who would do that stuff, and I would help her with it, and I loved helping her, but it was never always my cup of tea. I personally can't read music. It's just poetry to me, and I hate poetry.
I did get you on stage a couple times on
You
Xana.
did, and it was fun.
It was fun.
Doing it and reading it, it's kind of like playing miniature golf and watching miniature golf. One of them is fun. The other one, you're yelling at the guy why he can't get the ball in the clown's mouth. And that's not a Pulp Fiction reference.
That sounded bad.
That's a ball gag. Anyway, so like that Maiden's Fancy that we're talking about, we're using things that we've personally known, because that's what we do on a show. You talk about what you know. But they would have singers and dancers, like I said, Sib, and players, and what they would do is the players would write up what they want to do beforehand, usually at a Word document. They type out the /E or /S for say, and then type out what they're going to do. And Sib would spend hours doing those things. I mean, she would find a song that inspired her to do that, and she did great. She, would... We came up with a whole formula like that to keep people engaged, because we found that some people would go 20 minutes or longer doing the thing, and people just check out. You can't sit there and read one person's stuff over and over, especially if they're going at a too slow a pace, or too fast even was the other part. So yeah, you want to hit up on that at all, because I said we would get to it later, but I didn't actually put it in here. So you want to go over what those rules that we found at all, hon? You remember them?
Me?
Yes, Sib.
No, it came down to timing, and I always found that being descriptive, people reacted better to it. I mean, you can go up there and say, I twirl around, or you can go up there and say, she twirls on like a ballerina, give them something to see in their mind's eye, because to me, I've got a great imagination, which is why I love to do that kind of stuff. And you want to make sure you keep it within the 2-minute range, because it seemed like me and Xanis, when we were doing it, we would kind of, watch everybody's reaction. And if it went over 10 minutes, you kind of started to lose people. They'd just kind of check out.
You would see the AFK start popping up because they weren't on the screen anymore, and it would auto do it, or they would start talking in character again instead of paying attention, or one of the big signs was that nobody would say anything. Like, there would be no emotes, no nothing, which means if
They all walked away from their competitors.
They're all
Yeah.
they're all ninja AFK. They're not actually doing that. And that's one thing, Sib, that you always did well, is like you were saying, instead of saying twirls in place, you went into exquisite detail about just when she came on stage, what she was wearing, what the gown looked like.
Yeah, I usually tried to
her
do a
muscles,
lot
her
more,
skin, if it
yeah,
glistened,
detail
her hair.
at the beginning, and then kind of went in with the song. I would do a little bit of detail, but also do the song. It really was. It was something I would take hours to do. But I have to give a shout out to Myra. She's the one that got me started in it. I saw her perform when I started playing EQ2, and I thought she was wonderful. I wanted to do what she did. So that's why I really got into it. I just wanted to be, like her. And it was fun. I would tell you, it's addictive.
Yeah, and I don't know how many 20 songs she had doing that stuff, but yeah, mostly just don't be. It's like anything with roleplay. Don't be shy, for one.
Yes, don't be shy.
And be descriptive. Try to keep it to about a 10 minutes type. Don't be. One of the things a lot of people would do, they had it typed out ahead of time. They would copy paste, almost as fast as.
That's what I did.
Far faster than you could read it. The best thing to do is to copy paste it, read it yourself, then go into the document again, give them a little bit of extra time, and copy, and then paste the next part. Read it yourself, so that if you're a slow reader, or if you're a slow reader, that's perfect. If you're a real fast reader, give it a little bit of extra time, but don't take too long, and just try to go at reading speed. Yeah,
you want to keep like a sentence or two. I wouldn't go over that. And really, anybody can do it. It's really not that hard. And even after like 20 or whatever many songs I did, I still would get nervous going up there in front of people, because you're putting yourself out there for people to judge. And I just loved it. I love to watch and see what people would come up with. I thought it was just fun. That was my cup of tea. Like Ashton said, he didn't like it. I loved it. I would just love to watch people, because it takes a certain kind of courage to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, and that's it. That's kind of the nitty gritty of it. We'll probably go more into that at another time too. But that's the long and short of it. There are also, other than that, there are other forms of entertainment too. The other place that we mentioned, the Fugue, it was kind of like a hookah bar, but not really. Hookah, not hookah.
Jazz could tell you about the Fugue really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that place.
She worked for Malgrim.
Yeah, and the EOSO has an actual hookah bar known as the Flying Guar every Tuesday at 7 Central. Since that's the game we're playing, we're going to throw that out there. But you want to hit what the Fugue was like, Jazz? Because, yeah, like you actually had a character that worked there. I just thought it was really cool. I put the details down there, but
the Fugue was fun.
You got the details. Yeah. You got the deets.
I really liked it because he wrote into it that there was really no way for you not to be affected on some level. The downside is that for people who either weren't comfortable having their characters have to be that way, or for those that were smart enough to understand that a character who's very, very dark and dangerous probably wouldn't like being there because they'd have to be kind of happy, shouldn't come. But you always had some people who RP that it didn't affect them, that they were fine. Or they would start picking a fight with someone, and I'd have to send them a tell and say, "Hey, that's not possible here.
Yeah.
Try again."
It was fun.
Keep trying.
Yeah. So but my character was a bartender, and I enjoyed working there a great deal. It was a lot of fun to serve drinks, and my character, who was a big drug head, enjoyed it because she got to be high and get paid, and that really made her day. So. And she wasn't allowed to get high anymore because she was the matron of a guild. So she had to be sober all the time, but when she worked, she was always high as kite. So she would sit there, and people, I don't know, most people didn't get it. Malgrim did. He always thought it was funny that she would literally eat the mushrooms while she was there. So not only was she high from the air, but she's like stuffing her mouth full of psychotropic mushrooms the whole time she's working. She never stops. She's just nibble, 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 nibble. He always got a kick out of that. He was like, she's trying to get as high as possible in these 2 hours she's here. Yeah,
and I did like that he made it too, because there's the Uber tunes. I can't be affected by anything. I'm immune to all sorts of things. I always liked that he had, if it wasn't the mist, it was like a magical ward thing. If you went in there, you were gonna feel good. The end. I liked that he had turned that off, so that he shut that. It's everyone tries to show off how great their characters are, and in a lot of cases that's all fine, but in a case like this where you're going there specifically for that, it spoils the fun and the purpose of it.
Yeah, it was just to hang out and have your tune, be in a good mood, and make friends. And I loved it. I thought it was always fun. I like the little potions you could put in your drinks.
That would make you even more one way or another.
Yeah.
It was always a lot of fun, especially for people who I noticed were probably much more happily erotic in the first place, would always take red, which would make them more aroused and easily suggestible to sexual things. I just got a kick out of that, watching people pour it into their drinks, and then they go, "This is okay, isn't it?" Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
The mushrooms.
It gave people that actually, and you know how you said the Uber characters, Ashen. It gave people with that Uber character, if they wanted to let go for a night,
it gave them an excuse.
Yes.
Yeah, Xanis was like that when he would go. He was a very,
it was a
hardcore guy, but he would go there and just like chill.
And he carried Halan out on his back.
Yeah.
Like piggybacked her out. So, it really was a fun place. You could go take your serious character there and be laid back, or, whatever potion you wanted to take, or however you wanted to feel, as long as it wasn't crappy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I even saw a couple people make out behind the bar.
Yeah. Oh, that happened. Actually, there was a couple that actually had full-on everything behind. Now, they were in Tel, so, nobody else could see that, but they told me that they were completely naked in doing it.
Yeah. What were they doing? What were they doing, Jess? Jess, what were they doing?
I think they thought, well, the guy thought that it would like freak out Miri, and the girl knew that Miri wouldn't care. She just stepped over him to get you a drink. Get a drink. She'd step over him, kick
him in the ass. Try going to the left. You're not doing it right.
Yes, she did that right. She turned her head at one point and was like, little, there you go. She's completely casual about that stuff. And I remember one time Janice
played checkers.
Walked in and was watching her, and he was like, "You want some dust with that mushroom?" She just flipped him off and kept eating.
Yeah. She was a tiny little Cheech and Chong all rolled into one. She's their love child.
All one. Yeah. Good times.
So moving on to that, once you kind of know what you're looking for, what concept you want, what you want it to look like, then you have to get to if you can, decorating it, and towards the end with that thought, because if you have this little bit of thought here in advance, it makes things a lot easier. Some people will make it just if you don't put it in there, it's just a kind of a generic place. You throw it down. That's that. It sounds like what we just said was a lot because we had to use a lot of detail, but seriously, it's as easy as coming up with what you're kind of after and then building towards that, and if you're not really great at decorating,
it also depends on the
there's
game.
other people that can help. Yeah, and it changes game to game, right?
Yeah, because EQ2, you could build something magnificent
from scratch.
Yeah, and have people come in, or like ESO, you're limited to how many people you can come to houses.
Yeah, and that's the problem with ESO.
I mean, there was I think the Rusty Nail would have sometimes 20 to 30 people in it.
Yeah, there was no limit on housing in EQ2, and
we would have up to 60 to 70 people come to events. So,
yeah,
I
inside.
Mean, yeah, so there was,
it was
obviously not the fugue; it was very small,
right?
But for some of the big ones, yeah,
because some of the houses were outdoors, literally entire the what was the one that was at one time the beginning island was just as it was a housing zone that they turned in. So
we had that one ball that I think we ended up with like 45 people at.
Yeah,
probably close to 50, and it was fun. I mean, it was
and you had
it
created
really is
that
game
from
based.
recreated a version of Rapture from BioShock in a way, like before it went ugly. But she had done an amazing job on that one.
I loved it. That was another thing I was really big into, was decorating. It was a lot of.
Yeah, she had made all these venues and events, did it once, and it's like, all right, I have an idea for another one.
And I'm going to touch on this just a little. It doesn't even have to be like a venue. If you want to do something like I had a flower shop in EQ2, and at Valentine's Day, I would post on, I think it was Raven Mythic, that, and other places, other RP forums, that my character will sell flowers and send a little note, describing the flowers. And so it can be anything, you can do anything in these games that your imagination will let you do.
Yeah, and she would actually have people send her messages, really just so that she could kind of send the items. She would actually send the items to them in a way, and send a note that the person said in a description of what to do with them or what it would look like. And people loved it because it came, it was like having it didn't come from the character itself. It was that extra little bit of effort that they went through her to send flowers, kind of like if you use not a sponsor obviously, but proflowers.com, which I've used to send flowers to Sib. I could go to a flower shop, or I could grow them in my backyard. No, I couldn't. But something about, it's just like with any lady or, guy that likes flowers. Not me, I'm allergic. I hate them all. It makes you feel good that somebody went through just that extra bit of effort to think of you. And when she first came up with the idea, I was like, I don't know, I've never heard of anything like that in all my time, that someone would even try something like that. So give it a shot, and I'll be damned if she didn't have tell after tell after tell of people, wanting to do this or set it up in character and all this stuff.
I started at the black market.
Yep,
that was on the Spectre Cartel, and then I actually set it up. I think it was the year before last on Valentine's Day when we were really into EQ2. And I put it up everywhere. I would say it in the chat, the zone chat. Be like, if you want to do something special for that special somebody, send, come to, the Wild Orchid.
Wild Orchid.
Yeah. But it's really, whatever you can imagine, you can do in a game. It's really...
It really just comes down to imagination. Even if you're in a game that doesn't have housing, you can still have events. Just pick a place that doesn't have a lot of NPCs. Yeah. And go from there. It's really that simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
That was back to we're gonna use EQ2 a lot because it did have an amazing system. But looking around, they had that one place that made the sweet shop. I don't know that they ever did anything with it, but just the fact that it was a really good looking sweet shop, it was cool. It was very creative.
Cool. That was very cool.
But it was.
I think we went over there and RP'd in it. Just our two characters, just to have like sweets.
Yeah, just to be introduced to a fancy something or others. But yeah, when you're decorating, obviously you got places to sit, a bar, bottles, a kitchen if you're going to serve food and things like that, a stage if you're going to have entertainment. Again, this all depends on the game you're in and the limitations of its housing system, or if you're in Final Fantasy XIV on Balmog, if you can get a house.
Oh yeah, that's just... They do have some good taverns.
Yeah, they do. But if you wanted to make a new one, you better have been in the game since release on Balmung, because you're not getting any more.
Yeah,
that's really sad. But
it is a bummer.
But the world taverns are pretty good.
Yeah, those were pretty good. Good too. So
Yeah, it was. I think that most you can usually find a place that you can create your event, and then you just have to get down to the rest of it.
Yeah. And of course, so then once you've got that decorated, if you're not real good at decorating, you can find a guildie or somebody that would help you, give you advice. Usually, there's always somebody that's really good at decorating in a roleplay guild that just like Zib just loves to do it all the time and give advice for free or help people out. And
I will tell you, in ESO, Aylin is awesome. She knows a lot of those patterns. And
but she can take anything and make it look awesome.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
I've seen some of the work she's done in ESO, and it's really nice. I haven't went that much into the detail of decorating in ESO. There's just so much to do in it. ESO, I swear.
There is.
I finally started doing it the other day and messed around with the house that I bought months ago that I just left pre-furnished, and finally started dinking around with it. Made a kitchen. Not much of one, because I'm still learning how to get items. Housing stuff. But so once you've got that all done, you've got to get people to look at it. If you need help, like I said, get what you need, and then it's time to open up. And the best way to do that is to make threads on the very same forums that I talked about at the beginning. Just like you would find roleplay things there, that's where you would go to tell people that you've got it. As well as, of course, your guilds, so that people, know to show up to it. Like I said, too, zone chat's another good way to get your name out there. It works but not all role players have it open, and it does leave you open to trolling if a troll shows up instead and just kind of makes an ass of himself. And of course, if your game allows you to /kick from a housing feature, that's always a good one. But they don't all do that, so you're kind of stuck with them. You can also try, the other thing you do is try to pick a time, and this on real heavy roleplay servers or where there's a lot of roleplay, it can get a little tricky, but trying to pick a time in the game where there's nothing else already going on, a time in a day. A lot of times the stuff early in the evening, like during the daytime, I don't know. It never seems to work out, does it, Jazz? Like, even on Saturdays and Sundays, if you schedule something at like 2 in the afternoon,
you're still not going to get the kind
hardly
of attention
anybody.
You need.
Yeah. There's just we're night people, apparently. We're night spawn.
RPers are night people. I will say that.
Yeah. Well, we're all pasty, white, lily-livered, milk-drinking sops. So, and
I think that was Bargnar's words.
Well, I'm not saying he's wrong. I mean, Jesus, so white I glow in the day. Seriously, it's go to the pool and take off a shirt, and they're like, the sun's up twice. What is this, Tatooine?
Also, I wanted to say, most people or most guilds these days, RP guilds, have some type of thing like Discord.
Yes.
I think a lot of
That's
them
another
do.
good one. I didn't even.
Yes.
I completely forgot about Discord, which we use.
You can advertise on Discord, which is more of a private thing, but a lot of RP guilds have it now. So it's an awesome thing.
Yeah. I know, like the ESO RP, there's
even
Discord for that. No, you're right. That's a good one. Discord's so new to me still at times. Even though I use it every day now, I forget about it as a feature for something like that. It's kind of stupid, but I'm slow. I have crayons. I got keys. They jingle.
Keeps your attention.
What? I'm sorry. There's totally this pigeon over here. He's just looking at me. You think you're people? You're just a pigeon. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh yeah,
number 15.
Yeah, 15. Man, I told you this was a long one. Usually we get to like 9. So and it takes a bit of time to get. Actually, we're on 14. God, Jazz, you're so dumb. You don't know numbers. That's why we don't pay you full price, because you're a woman.
Oh my gosh!
Throw something at him.
I just know that she loves to be reminded of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, wow, she throws like a girl. She totally hit the back of my chair.
It was backhanded.
Anyway, so when you're first still trying to get your name out there too, don't get too discouraged if it doesn't have like the mega, grand opening that you had thought it was. Typically, actually, the grand openings are the one time you really can get there. It's kind of that first impression thing, so try to make it as good as you can, because that will get people to come back and give you another shot over and over. But and to finish up on the trying not to overlap with other people's stuff, even if you do overlap like a time, like something else is going on, if you pick something, like say you're doing a tavern like we've been talking about, and the event is a combat thing at the exact same time, go ahead and do it at the exact same time. A lot of the times that somebody that would go to a combat thing, they're there because that's what they want to do, and that leaves all the people that hate combat stuff willing to come to your tavern event, and vice versa. If you're doing if there's tavern events all over the place and you want to do a tournament during the tavern event. You might pull a couple people away, but people that want to go to that tavern and aren't interested in RP combat, they're not going to show up anyway, so you're not out of anything. What?
I never was a fighter.
Yeah, exactly. See, and I'm the exact opposite. I love kicking ass and chewing bubblegum, and I'm all out of ass. Wait. Yeah, something like that.
It just got weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so from there, the hard part's pretty much done. The setup, that's really often the worst of it, is just getting to that point, especially if you have to decorate it. That can take quite a long time, depending on how big your venue is. So after that, you just do the owner thing, and you have yourselves, and you can have friends or guildies. If it's especially if it's a guild run kind of a tavern, you might have guildies taking drink orders, or a bouncer or two to help keep things going, or an event runner if you've got something like that. Like the Maiden's Fancy, they had I don't remember the XR's name, but they always had like this pre-planned out thing, and he was actually pretty damn funny, because he would give like it was some sort of legal obligation that they had to warn you that what you may see is, I forget his name.
That was fantastic.
But it was always pretty
fantastic.
entertaining. So,
he was hilarious.
Yeah, he was really funny.
God, what was his name?
I don't.
That's gonna drive me nuts.
I didn't know
now.
him as well as I only saw him during that. I never saw him any other time. So now that you've got it running, you've got it going. There's a few things you want to know what kind of rules you want to place in place. Like if you allow fighting within the bar, just know that if that breaks out, that pretty much takes everything else to a screeching halt. And you could, depending on the people you have there and the characters, you could lose people. Usually, if it's a high-end place, you don't want to allow that. They have to take it outside. If it's a dive bar, like the Rusty Nail was, nobody's gonna give a shit.
Nobody cared.
Yeah,
they
they're
fought
just gonna
it
cheer
there.
you
And I
on.
know there was another bar, which was a long-standing one, Rail, ran. What was it called? You ate there, and
Where was it?
on Monday nights. It was in Freeport. I can't think of what it was called.
Soulfire?
Soulfire.
Soulfire,
There we
yeah.
go. Yeah.
Which is
Soulfire.
Lucandelier's sword, named after Lucandelier's flaming, hard, hot sword.
Dude, I swear. Anyway,
Well,
if you started a fight there, you were just booted, and they had the ability to boot people. So there was no discussion, there was no argument. Both parties that were fighting were kicked out.
Yeah,
for the night.
just slash booted, magically teleported out.
I think that was probably the most realistic way to do it if you have that opportunity, because you just tell people ahead of time, this is what's going to happen if you start a fight in the house. If you're in the tavern, the wards will just kick you out. We're not going to discuss it. You can get as mad as you want. You're booted, and
you can
come back the next time. Yeah. You can come back in next time, but if you do it 3 times in a row, you're done.
Yeah.
Take it outside.
And
It's not that. It's just like
really
any real bar.
like that.
Take it outside.
No, like our bars usually, except for that brothel, you can fight if you want to. We don't care. Just don't get blood all over everything.
You can fight if you want to. You can leave
Yeah.
your friends behind. Because if they don't fight, then they don't fight, then they're no friends of mine.
Oh my god. I walked right into that.
You did. That was
my
great.
God.
I liked the fact that a lot of people give you rules up front. Wherever they post their event, they usually have rules. And that way, if you break the rules, like you said, Jazz, you're done. You're out.
Yeah.
Get outta here.
And that way because I know we had an event, me and Ashen and EQ2, and we
It was
told
your
everybody,
Halloween event.
If you want something to happen, you need to come to us and ask us in advance, or else it's not going to happen. It will not happen. And so that's you know what you're getting into or what's going to happen.
Yeah, because especially when it's when you do a weekly thing, you're a little bit more open to, if you want if you're running it weekly and people want something to happen there, they can come to you. It's a weekly event. If 1 week something crazy happens, it's just 1 week. That thing that she was talking about was our Halloween ball that she had worked her ass off to do this thing. And then without asking us, and definitely without permission, because it was supposed to just be a fun thing. Everybody gets together, they dance, they have a ball. We had a costume.
I wasn't going to go into it.
I'm going to do it. We had a costume contest. They didn't ask permission, and then suddenly somebody had decided that our food was poisoned and that everybody there was going to get sick. No, they weren't. That was not what that was there for. That was not their place to make that decision.
That's going into hijacking people's
and it was into
events.
The hijacking events, which is another thing we're going to get into at another episode. But they hijacked that event, and we had to tell them all flat out, this did not fucking happen. We were not informed of this beforehand. Had we been, we would have told them, you're not coming if you're going to do that, because too much work was put into this. You can't hijack it just because you are who you are, and somebody put all that work and effort into something. You don't get to steal, and basically then, because roleplay has consequences. So if you do something like that, everybody's gonna just assume that everything that happens at your stuff, they can have a chance to get poisoned. I know Jazz had a thing where something like that happened, but it was allowed to happen, and then after that, their characters and stuff didn't go back there because they couldn't guarantee that they wouldn't be poisoned again.
Right, because they didn't ask anybody ahead of time. They just sprung it on them and said, oh, by the way, after everybody been there for like 15 minutes, oh, by the way, everybody here that's had a drink has been poisoned.
Yeah, which is fine. You can do that, but RP has consequences.
Right, and so then my character would never go back there.
Right.
Because she was like, if I could get poisoned once, I could get poisoned again. And she would never go back. And that, I went to some of their other events.
Just not their bar.
I couldn't go back to that one on that character, because she would never set foot back in there again.
Yeah, and this permission wasn't given, and we didn't want, that wasn't what this was for. It was to have a good night, free of that kind of drama. If somebody was, got drunk and, got slapped for advancing on somebody, that'd be one thing, but poisoning half the people, not cool. You can't hijack someone's event like that.
So that's why it's important, to know up front what you will and will not accept. Yeah. Have something stated ahead of time that says you don't get to do this unless you ask us first.
It is your event, and you get to make all the rules. And if it's not in the rules, and this is the other part, and then Jazz, I'm going to let you take on this one. Let me make sure it is to take it outside, social norms, ERP, blah blah blah. Okay. When it's your event, as you take it outside if you're not allowed to fight and beat the hell out of one. Social norms apply, i.e. not ERPing in public, or just like you wouldn't have sex in a bar in public without probably getting escorted out. You don't do that in a roleplay game. Unless, of course, the concept of the bar runs on the dark sides of things, like a brothel or a gentleman's club. Don't be squeamish, for one, if you do that. Because
oh God, if you do this, you need to be prepared for several things.
As a story. And that's why I brought this up. Yeah, but I know that was the most recent one that you had told me about.
Yes.
And when I say recent, it's actually been a fairly long time now, I think. But it was such a place, a gentleman's club, a brothel. It was where ERP, it was a private area in where ERP was allowed to be done in say and in emotes. You know, it didn't have to be in group chat, and it didn't have to be in tel. That was actually the literal point, supposedly, of this event. And Jazz went there, and how'd that go, Jazz?
Oh, you mean Malgram's thing?
I don't know what it was, honestly. I just remember that you went to a thing.
Yes, I went to
started
an
emoting,
event.
and then you got kicked out.
I stopped ERPing for years, as you know, and I've slowly been allowing it back in if it fits my character. In this particular event, we went to an event. It was going to be very racy, and so I told everyone ahead of time, okay, this is an IC event, and there is likely to be nudity, maybe even sex in public. You need to be prepared for this. And because my character was the matriarch, anyone that was going along as her guardian had to know that. I'm like, I'm not going to ask anybody to stay if this makes them uncomfortable.
Right, like I wouldn't have gone.
Right, and you didn't. You didn't go because you were told ahead of time. Yeah, and you know, it's like anybody that's uncomfortable with that shouldn't be here. And when we got into the business, my character said, you don't want to be here? You don't have to be here. I, however, am going to have fun. So that means I'm going to be drunk, high, and probably get laid. So if that makes you uncomfortable, you should leave now. Yeah. She's very blunt. So am I. And I said the same in OOC. So the event took off. And
you confirmed, too, with the people planning the event that
yes,
that it was exactly what you thought it was, and they said,
we all knew. They asked me ahead of time if that would be okay because they wanted to throw her a birthday party and they wanted to make it Miriam style, and I said she would love that. Yeah. So we all knew ahead of time what was coming. Anybody that was coming was supposed to know what was coming.
You're using the word "coming" an awful lot for an ERP talk, and it's really making. There's scared to be children listening, and it's making us all very uncomfortable.
You know, until you said that, I wasn't even thinking about it. Now I'm thinking about it. Damn it.
Yeah, anyway. You said that like 5 times in 2 seconds. That was
okay. So
wow, Freud.
So the event takes off. It starts going on, and my character goes with the lady of the evening that was brought in for that purpose and takes her upstairs. Now, for those of you that don't play EQ, our spatial is not huge in EQ, but in houses, you're hard-pressed to get away from it. So I knew that it was going to carry through between floors and to anyone there. So I stopped what we were doing. First of all, in tells, made sure she was 18. And then, because that's always smart.
Always good on the internet.
Always a good idea.
Didn't ask if it was a dude, but she doesn't worry about that.
Well, I don't care about that.
Exactly.
But I made sure that it was the person was 18.
I am a beautiful woman.
So, I then in OOC said, which is an OOC channel in a house, basically broadcasts to the whole house, no matter who's where. And it says, this is going to go beyond PG-13, possibly into X. If that's going to make you uncomfortable, you do not have to stay. Is that okay with everyone that I continue, or I'll just take it to tells? Mm-hmm. Because I didn't want to upset anybody, even though I obviously bent over backwards.
You were not literally, but figuratively covering your ass.
Yeah.
You were figuratively covering your
figuratively covering my ass. And we went ahead with it. Well, 3/4 of the way through this, actually after I was finished, but not long after the thing was closing, several people got upset and would not tell me what was going on. So apparently some people who just wanted to stir up trouble went and said that I basically said that if you didn't attend, you were fired and you would be kicked from the guild. You had to attend this event and you couldn't leave, even though it was upsetting. And more than one person supposedly told this woman this. And, you know, it caused a lot of drama. And, of course, one of my officers was like, you know, walked up to me and said, I thought we understood that you were done with that. And I was like, you know, I was just having a little fun. You knew better than that. Yes, I did. And I'm sorry. I was the guild leader, and I just wanted to forget for once. And I obviously can't. So after I got done with his lecture, I, had to apologize to my guildmates for the drama and make sure that my friends knew what had happened. And I offered to give logs to anyone that wanted to see what was really said. And eventually, it blew up and turned into a lot of drama, but I had all I needed to protect myself, and they just looked stupid.
Yeah, you covered your ass.
Yeah, so because I was careful, even though drama did come from that, because people are hell-bent on that with my characters for some reason.
Yeah, for some reason, not a lot of people like you. I mean, I understand it, but other people. Sib likes you.
Trust me, his characters are the same way. People love to hate his characters.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. I'm one of those.
Oh, I'm good. It's usually the intent.
You care less.
Yeah. I don't even care if people like me when I'm talking on this show. Shit. But it's one of those things. So if you're gonna do an event in a place like that, be honest. Don't. If you're not completely comfortable with something, just say it. Don't go ahead and be like, I think I could be okay with this. If you think you can be okay with it, you're not okay with it.
And what's really frustrating, Jazz, about your story to me is people can leave.
Yeah.
It's the internet. Click it off.
Yeah, it really bothered you. And the thing was, the person that was making the most stink about all of this had already left the event because her character was insulted by what was happening.
Well,
realized it was a sex thing, and then her character left. But then she continued to, so obviously nothing happened to her in response to her leaving. Nobody cared. Maybe that's why she was mad. Nobody cared that she left, and nobody followed her. But the drama that happened afterwards was just a really good example of why it is important to, first of all, what I didn't do and will do in the future is take a screenshot of when you give people a warning.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are going to do something that could be taken as erotica or PG, more than PG-13, many TOS rulings can come against you, particularly in games. So it's very important that you have on hand proof that you really did say, this is going to do this. You need to not be here if you wear X, Y, and Z. I didn't have screenshots. I will never make that mistake in the future. But I still had enough witnesses and enough logging to protect myself. So when you do something that is adult, cover your ass. It may seem silly because you think all these people are your friends. Just make sure that you're okay. Because I thought everybody was mine, and it turned into a giant mess. So it's really important to cover your butt when you're doing something like gentleman clubs and what's it called? When you don't actually show anything.
Broke? No, burlesque.
Burlesque. There we go. Burlesque shows. Anything like that.
Of which
your butt.
Valerian had an amazing burlesque show in it. That was a fantastic movie. I don't know why it didn't do better. You should go see it.
Oh, she was awesome.
She was awesome. They're actually
there was,
Valerian, City of a Thousand Planets. It was a movie that came out. It was done by the guy that did The Professional and Fifth Element. If you like those movies, see Valerian when it comes out.
I heard it was fantastic.
It was visually one of the most amazing movies I've ever seen.
I was told it was like sex for the eyes. I mean,
it really was. The story wasn't bad. It was sort of generic, but visually, and the story with the visuals.
You weren't going for the story. You wanted to go for the visuals.
They had an entire market that was in another dimension where like you had to put on a visor. There is a whole bunch of people standing out in the middle of a desert, and then when you see what they're seeing through the visor, it's like fucking Coruscant in Star Wars. It was shifted out of the. It was just such a cool movie. So go see that. That's my only recommendation.
Yeah, I'm going to see it. Although it'll probably be something.
I think it did so poorly. It's already out of the theaters probably. So which is a shame because it was like you said, eye sex. So we got one more point here, and we'll wrap this up. I know, like I said, I knew this one would probably go a little long, even with us cutting out some of the stuff. So last little bit here. Most people already do know how to act, in roleplay. Basically, if you're going to a roleplay event, act like you would in any other roleplay. So there's usually very few problems. like we did say, there are those what we call the look at me's that try to hijack things. That's what that story was about earlier. That the rules don't apply to them, or that they say they won't be offended by something, and then something happens that it's offends them. If it happens, stay calm, collected.
For the love of God, take care of it in whispers.
Yep, send it.
Try to stay it out of brackets and say.
Yeah,
because then you're just ruining everything.
Take it to tells if you can, and if it stays in an OOC chat, then you know what, you just handle it there. And it's like almost any argument. If you stay rational and calm, the other RPers are going to likely stick with you. If you don't start with the name calling, if you don't start with all that other crap, they're going to call out the other one that is acting like a fool for acting like a fool. People just do that, You see somebody acting like a drunk idiot, starting to take a swing at somebody. You don't get onto the guy getting swung at. You get onto the drunk idiot. So if somebody acts like a jackass out of character because, something that someone said offended them or, this or that, then just handle it as best. Hopefully they can handle it in whispers, which I know that can basically ruin the rest of your night too, because then you're stuck handling this and it's hard to concentrate on a giant tavern full of people and several tells.
Yeah. But the bottom line is that if you go into a situation where you're creating RP, you need to have in the back of your head that may happen so that you're not freaked out about it and you're not upset like they ruined my whole day. You have to expect it on some level when you're dealing with it.
Yeah.
And it's always nice to have a partner that you're going into it with. Because I know, Jazz, whenever you guys did things, there was like 2 or 3 of you. I know Myra.
Yep.
Pavela. You guys.
You always tried to have more than one person who could handle things if things went south.
Mm-hmm.
I know Zanus always, or Ashen always had my back when I did stuff. So if I was tied up with something, he would step in and help take, control of the event.
Yeah.
Or if it was
vice versa.
Yeah, I would step up and help him, handle problems.
Mm-hmm.
It's always nice to have somebody there with you. It's hard to do something on your own. That's the only drawback about having an event.
We glanced over it, but running. Some of them are easy to run by yourself. But some of them, it never hurts to ask, especially, later on when we get into some of the other stuff. Ask for a little bit of help. You're only one person. You can only type so fast. You can only read so fast. If you've got other people there to help take some of that slack, it's like running a guild. Officers are there for a reason. Running a tavern event, having guildies or friends that you can trust to be there to take the load off, so that you're not running drinks, that you're not running orders, that you're not, just like a restaurant doesn't run on the manager. They need servers, they need, wait staff. It's all that stuff is also somewhat important. So,
and you might be surprised when you ask for help. Lots of people are willing
to
step up. Yeah. Lots of people are willing.
Some people will even create a character specifically for it. Yeah.
So, and if you'll say, I have to deal with something, my officers aren't here, can you wait the bar for a little while for me? If I said that to, say, one of your characters, I told
you to fuck off.
Who would not? I know. You're so full of it. Good Lord. I could come up and say, hey,
I would help you out, yes.
Can you come tan bar for me for a minute while I deal with this? Or something like that, because I don't have to go into detail.
Or if it was Xanis, she'd be like, would you go kick this guy's ass? I'm just going to stay behind the bar. Yes, ma'am. You know it. So, all right. Well, that kind of wraps it up on taverns. I know this episode was a lot of stuff all at once thrown at you. We might go into another sort of event next episode. It will just depend on what we want to do. We might take a break and do something else and then come back to this. And, because there's just so many events and so many different ways to run each and every kind of them. They're not all run the same. Some of the rules, the getting it out there and advertising for it and how to, if you're going to build the place for it, all that stuff basically is the same, but kind of like when we went into the singing and dancing, there's little things that we've learned along the ways on each one of these that help make it smoother overall for you. And honestly, the best way to learn it all is experience, like anything else. The more you do it, the first one you run might be a little rough. Don't worry about it. You've learned something. And from there on out, it will just get easier and smoother to the point where all you're doing is you throw it up there, you have a good time, and you log out. And people enjoy it as well. It gives them something to look forward to. The guild I'm in, we do an ordinator thing. It's, I never know if it's not always combat every Monday, but I look forward to it every Monday. It's an event I always look forward to, and I always do my best to be there for. And once you get to that status, you're doing all right. So,
yep.
You guys got anything else to say before we start to close the sucker down?
I'm good.
All right.
I think it's gone pretty smooth.
Cool.
Not a lot of info out there.
All right. Well, this, like I said, this is RPMMO Radio. If you want to visit us, you can go to that at .com. That's what I just said, rpmmoradio@gmail.com, or on Facebook.com/rpmmoradio, or Twitter at rpmmoradio. And, appreciate you guys, like I said, just give us a review on whatever iTunes or Apple calls it now. Like and subscribe at any of our podcast things. We appreciate everybody that listens, and we hope you learned a few things, got some knowledge into you, and had a few laughs. Hopefully it wasn't too annoying. I know. I'm sorry. I have to have co-hosts. They have to be here. I know how it gets sometimes, but I'm glad they're here all the same, even if you guys aren't.
You can't do it without us. We're the ladies.
Yeah.
Yes. So, well, I'm Ashton Phoenix, and of course, I appreciate my two hosts, Sib and Jazz, joining me as always on RPMMO Radio.
Bye. Later, guys.
And join us next time when we'll go over why halflings plan events for half the price, because you only get half an event from the waist down and only half the fun. Next time on RPMMO Radio. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
The thoughts and opinions expressed by RPMMO Radio are just that, and should not be taken as the gospel truth, but pretty close to it. Music provided by Husky by the Geek. Visit him at youtube.com/HuskyByTheGeek to hear all his great rock covers.